And welcome to the Clouse Q Show here on ONTV. I'm Jason Clouse. I'm being joined by my co-host, my tag team partner, my very good, close, personal, dear friend, Quadell Edwards. I tried to get as many, I tried to, spruce it up a little bit. We're on a new set. We had a new open. It's kind of a new chapter here for the show unofficially because, we want to make this, we want to appeal to everybody across the board. We want people to tune in. We want them to be inspired. We want to motivate them. But, we're going to be real with you, too. We're going to deal with happy topics. We're going to deal with not so happy topics because, Q, that's life, right? Oh, it's a potpourri of everything. It's a potpourri of all kinds of different emotions and situations and people. And if you've watched the show for any length of time, then you know kind of what to expect. We're just going to turn the volume up a little bit moving forward here, and it starts with tonight's topic. But before we get there, how's things with you, man?
Oh, man, I'm great, man. I cannot complain, even if I wanted to. I can't complain, man. I'm happy. Glad to be here. I'm happy for this topic, man. We are definitely excited. Just like I was just saying before we came on the air. I've been going over this thing all day and pretty much all week. Mm-hmm. I've been going over this thing. So this is going to be a fun topic. This is going to be a fun show. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you here. We're happy to have you watching at home. We certainly appreciate your support for the show. What we're talking about here tonight is the things that people cannot take away from you and our urgency to work on these things. Because if you've watched the show for any length of time, or if you've listened to any of our podcasts on the PFC Entertainment Network, this is a reoccurring thing. This is something that I talk a lot about in different aspects and different scenarios, because these kinds of things apply to everybody. If you are a human, if you are breathing air, if you have blood running through your veins, some of this is going to apply to you. It's just, no matter what you do, there's no escaping it. Because, Q, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm the one who's crazy, because I've been told that before. It just seems like, especially now in this day and age, there is a contingent of people that will try their damnedest to instill their visions, their philosophies, their points of view on other people. And if you don't subscribe to that philosophy, you are less than, you are wrong, you are weak. And over periods of time of being told that, of having that pounded into your brain, you start to believe it. And you start to let it alter who and what you are. Now, we are going to break down a list here tonight of the things that you can work on that ultimately people cannot take away from you. I sent you this topic, and you got really excited about it.
I did.
Generally, we kind of go back and forth. We kind of trade off from month to month what we're going to talk about. You pick this month, I'll pick this. I don't remember the last time you've been this invested in a topic that I have put on the table. What is it about this that resonates with you?
Oh man, just like you said, this will impact everyone. Everyone who's listening, everyone who just like you said got running blood in their veins. Hopefully it's blood. Everybody that got air in their lungs. This should touch you, because this is something that we all deal with on a daily basis. Things that people try to take away from you. This is the art of manipulation. We deal with that daily. There's so many people that want you to follow them and the things that they see or their vision and their way. It's their way or the highway. So sometimes you just need to take that highway, because you have to be you. And we always talk about that.
Yeah. the last few episodes here on the show, we've talked a lot about mindset and having the proper mindset to embark on anything that you are invested in, that you are working towards, your goals, your dreams, whatever the case may be. Mindset is on this list because it is something, like we have said time and time and time again, it really does start with the proper mindset. And this is where people that, by and large do not want to see you succeed, this is what they target first. They start to try to make people question what they truly want, who they want to be, what they want to be, where they want to be. And over time, we can allow that to manipulate. You said it perfectly here a moment ago. Manipulation is an underground thing here, but it is one of the most powerful things. If we don't address it right that second, it plants those seeds of doubt that we've talked about, right?
Absolutely. And let me tell you that it's the reason why people attack the mind first is because how powerful the mind is. And one thing that if you really recognize how valuable your mind is, you will not allow the garbage to come in. You ever hear the term garbage in, garbage out? So some of us allow so much garbage into our mind that's all we can give out now is garbage, because it replaced pretty much the good things that you had in there, because you only got so much room, to operate when we're talking about the mind. It's when people are downloading so much garbage on you and telling you to do this and do that the way they want you to do it, and getting you to do things that you're not supposed to be doing or things that you really shouldn't be doing because it's not you, then you're becoming a counterfeit. You cannot be you. Like, I gotta be who I was created to be. I gotta be who I am. And if I'm starting to follow John, Joe, or all these other people, it's almost developing that mindset that I'm not who I am. I want to be. I want to follow their vision. I want to follow what they got going on. And sometimes it looks good, and people are so good at manipulating people. They can make it look like a pepperoni pizza, boy, with the extra cheese, extra pepperonis, whatever you want to put on there, ham or whatever you want to put on there to make it look good. They know how to butter it up and make it look good.
Right.
But you have to stick to your morals. You have to stick to who you were created to be, who you are, because I know I got a purpose. We all got a purpose. And when we start following the wrong things and the wrong people, then we forfeit it.
Yep, absolutely. So here's the thing, when you talk about what can we do to work on the mindset so it's something that people cannot take away from you, you've got to maintain that focus.
Yep.
Everybody has a goal, everybody has a destination in mind in some way or another. Keep your eyes on the prize. It's not just a catchy catchphrase or something like that. That is legitimate. If you stay focused on what you're truly here to do or what you truly want, then anything that is said and done, you can put walls up to block those out. Now, that's not to say that there won't be a crack in there from time to time, because people with the manipulation thing will find any little crevice and weasel their way in there. I'm trying to watch my mouth. Because I got to remember where we're at here, right? But don't let it alter your focus, your frame of mind. Why you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
Now, the second thing on this list of things that people cannot take away from you is your character. And I don't mean a gimmick, like your character as an individual. This is one of those aspects, Q, that gets overlooked.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've got things like mindset and a couple of other things on this list here. The actual fundamental character of someone is kind of pushed on the sidelines, right? And you kind of got to have a pretty good idea of who you are, character-wise, right? I mean,
Right.
how important is this?
And let me tell you, all of these pretty much tie in with each other because it's like connective tissues. They're all pretty much tied in with each other, like your mind, your character. First, you have to develop it. And let me say, when it comes to your mindset, I'm gonna say it pretty much about everything that we got on this list. Everything needs to be exercised. Everything needs to be exercised, including we're talking about your mind, your character, everything that's on this list needs to be exercised. And that means you have to develop it to make it even stronger than it was yesterday. You have to be better. And I had this conversation with Brian Buff. Brian Buff is like the Stan Lee of this show. He always makes the cameo mention, and I'm bringing him up here again, But I had a conversation with him yesterday, and I was telling him, he asked me a question. He actually asked me a question about pretty much about character, about your character development. Like, do your character develop? Does it get better through time, or does it kind of like remains the same? And I said that, and I told him it kind of like varies because each individual has a choice to develop that character. And I look back on my relationship with you, and I use you as an example because you're here physically.
Sure.
Now we met. I want to say about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
4 years ago, and I can definitely see that 4 years has passed. You are not the same person 4 years ago that you are now. There was growth, and there was growth in your character. There was so much advancement in you, and there was something that was on the inside of you, and it started mentally. It had to start mentally because what we don't know is the mind is the government to everything. I mean, you take this brain away, then you're a vegetable. You can't do anything. So this is your government. This is the control center right here. So, that is where you develop that character and you develop who you are. And this is where, you change professions. You change professions within those 4 years of me knowing you. And I see growth. And I see growth in Brian Buff, Stan Lee. I see growth in him. And I think it's great, and I think that's what really connects people like us together, that we're willing to help push each other, because people can help your character grow too.
Yeah,
because we push each other, we encourage each other. We say, you know what, you can make it, man. You can hit that goal. And I don't want to put Brian Buff on blast here, but he I don't want to tell this. I don't know. It's probably not a secret, but he had a goal to read a certain amount of books a year. And he told me that he had a very hard time actually reaching that goal. But this year, he shattered it.
Right.
And we're only halfway through the year. And that shows that his character is better this year than it was last year, just by the things that you can accomplish. Your character what you accomplish kind of shows who your character is.
Yeah.
That you're able to accomplish things. This show is an accomplishment, what we're doing. And I believe that everybody out there got something that they can accomplish, that goal that really helps develop the character, that who you are. You got to get in the trenches. And I told somebody that you have to go through to get to. And that's a true statement, because we all want to get to that end result and just say, you know what, that's it. But we don't want to do the work to actually get there. When you do the work, that's going to help you appreciate that goal that much more. And that shows character right there, that you are willing to do the work to get to that goal. I said a mouthful.
You did, but every single word that you said meant something, and shout out to Stan Lee. Anyway, I too have my thoughts on the character aspect, but like you said here a little bit ago, Q, just about every one of these things that we are talking about here is intertwined with one another, if not the whole package. And like the character aspect really ties into the last item on this list, and I'm going to save my particular commentary to illustrate my final point with the main event, as it were.
Oh, I love that.
Personality. Now, personality is the third one on this list, and this is this is the one that we see most often because of the advent of social media.
Yeah.
With the advent of social media, people have platforms now to put themselves out there. And when you put yourself out there, you are presenting people, the public in general, with a variation of your personality.
Yep.
Now, what happens is, especially in this day and age where not only do you have a platform to put yourself out there, on the backside of that is the platform for people to criticize it, to critique it, to, in some cases, start bullying people over it because they may not understand something that you may be into. Now, Q and I are, it's no secret, we are huge professional wrestling fans.
Yes, we are.
Now, there was a time, when we were younger, we were looked down upon because we were professional wrestling fans.
Yes.
Because it wasn't accepted as a legitimate source of entertainment on a mainstream level, even though you had your Hulk Hogan's and you had the golden age, as it were, the whole rock and wrestling thing when they started really becoming nationally known. We were still, for me, I'm not going to speak for you, but for me personally, like I was bullied, I was picked on because I was a wrestling fan. And there's other entities in this day and age where people are labeled. They're nerds, they're geeks. This gets wrapped up a lot of times unfairly too, I might add, because I don't think it's right to bully anybody or to make anybody feel any certain ill feeling about something that they're passionate about.
Right.
As long as you're not hurting somebody. I mean, if you have some sort of sick fascination with torturing insects or something like that, well, then I question what else happening in the wiring of your brain, but that's a topic for another day. Comic books, Comic Cons have become huge business. But it wasn't all that long ago, if you were a comic book fan or you were a superhero fan, you were a nerd. Anime is another one because people don't understand it. They see it on a surface level. It looks maybe not like something that they grew up with. They don't understand it. So anybody that is affiliated or is a fan of that particular genre, well, they're a nerd or they're a geek. Or there's other words that I could say, but we're on live television and we want to stay on the air.
That's right.
But be that as it may, our personalities start to become called into question. And it is simply because I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong or expand on it or whatever you want to do here, it's because there is a basic lack of understanding. People don't take the time to get to know the person or the entity that they are passionate about. So it's easier, instead of taking the time to learn that particular genre or to learn the person themselves and why this particular piece of entertainment resonates with them on the level that it does, it's easier to condemn it.
Yes.
It's easier to pick it apart. And especially if there's other people in something of a BS audience that you are trying to appeal to, which, if we're going to go down that rabbit hole, it's because you are lacking something in your own personality. It's time to come to grips with that, and it's okay to come to grips with that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're not going to grow your character that we just talked about. Q, am I wrong here or what?
Oh man, you hit the nail on the head with this one. Man, I can add so much, but I'm gonna summarize this one because man, I could say so much. We also had this conversation with Mr. Boff.
We might as well just get him a third seat. You know what I'm
It
saying?
probably would have been good for this one. But man, we talked about without pretty much saying it, but we talked about this personality thing, and just like you were saying, I know how it is to feel less than because I was a big fan of professional wrestling because man, I was looked down like crazy, and I was a comic book fan, and I was a superhero fan. Oh my God,
the triple threat.
Now this is where things got really crazy because now I still deal with it as an adult. Now that I'm all grown up, and it's not as much as wrestling in comic books and everything because now those things are more embraced now.
Yeah.
But now it's no secret, I'm a Christian. Oh man. I'm a Christian. Now, I go to church. I believe in God, and I never tell people what to believe in. I say, you be who you are. But this is what I believe in. And I believe this is something that no one can take away from me. But man, do I get looked down for what I believe in because I'm not a religious person. No, I'm not if that shocks anybody. I'm not a religious person. I'm a relationship person. And I feel like I have a relationship with God. So just like I have a relationship with Mr. Clouse here, this is my friend. This is my very close friend. I feel like I could talk to you about anything. I feel I could talk to certain people. Mr. Boff, I could talk to him about anything because I'm not a secretive person. I can talk to you guys. And this is actually ties into our next word, but I'm not going to go there yet. But, I've been looked down all of my life. But now what I had to do, and this really helped my character as I grew up because it's almost like, being looked down for professional wrestling was practice for being looked down on Christianity today. Mm-hmm. I was able to deal with it. So now that I'm an adult, I know how to deal with it differently now. Back then I would be like, okay, I got to kind of like hide some things. Okay, let me hide these magazines. I don't want to get talked about today. Or, let me hide my comic books. Let me hide the wrestling figures. Let me hide these things because I'm so concerned about image, which a lot of people is concerned about. Now, I don't care what people view my image because it's all opinionated. Because if you don't know who I am, then there's no way you're gonna understand who I'm meant to be. You're looking at my image, something that I'm not looking at because I'm too busy building my personality. I'm too busy building my character, my mindset. I'm building these things. Now I'm to a point where I can easily say, and I told Brian this yesterday, I said, I am offense proof. So no matter who talks down to me now, there's no way you can offend me. There's things I will defend.
Right.
But you cannot offend me.
That's a sidebar because there is a difference between being offended and defending.
Yep.
That triggers, that could actually be its own topic, a full-blown deep dive topic, but explain as best as you can what the difference is between being offended and coming to or going into the mindset of this is worth putting your stake in the ground for.
Absolutely. So, all right. So now, people who go through that feeling of offense are ones who are not really willing to forgive. For me, I'm a very forgiving person. So if you want to come and step on my toe, I'm not going to hate you for it. I'm not going to hate you for it. You cannot offend me by doing things to me, but I will defend myself for my own good. Now, you come at me over my family, you start saying this and that about my family. Now, you're not going to offend me, but I will defend my family to the end because I believe I have that right to do so, because you don't just sit there and allow people to talk garbage about people you care about. And that's one thing that a lot of people do. In the field that we work in, and you know where I'm.
Right.
Enough said, right?
Right. So here's my question on that, because as you say that, if somebody offends my family, or someone talks down, or I guess a better way is, if somebody talks down on my family, or about my significant other, or one of my kids, or something like that, I'm going to be offended. How can I not be offended? So, does it go back to mindset? Because my initial response is, you have sit here and disparaged my wife, or my kids, or
Right.
my dad, or whoever the case may be. I'm offended. And now this also goes into the personality part of, now, do I hide my emotions?
That's hard to do.
Do I take the high road as it's often perceived? Or do I become confrontational about it? Now, knowing me the way that I do, I feel like all depending on the level of insult that was put down on whoever in my family, I'm going to become very
Right.
confrontational. Is that something that I kind of need to be more patient on? I guess it's the level of severity, right?
Yeah, because it definitely varies, because, if you got people trying to really, 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 really take your family out, you have the right to stop it. You have the right
Regardless
to do
of who it is.
Yeah, regardless of who it is. You got family taking out family. So that's something that is big right now, because we had this conversation with Mr. Boff. There's times where family kind of does this whole comparison thing. Okay, you're doing better than me. Well, I'm going to talk about your family. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to try to target something that triggers you. Before you know it, what does it? If you really kind of dissect it, it sounds like a trap.
Yeah.
It sounds like a trap, because they want you to get out of character. That's what people are gearing for when they want to hit these triggers and say something about. There's a reason why they're saying something about your family. There's a reason for it. So now I always think about the root cause of things, and this is big when it comes to mindset, because there's a root cause of what everybody does. Everything, people do stuff for a reason, and that's why I cannot clean the entire world, but I can clean me.
It's a good point.
So the best thing I can do is, sometimes it's not even the initial attack, but sometimes the reaction could be worse.
Yeah.
Because how many times have you seen people in prison for things they do to somebody else in retaliation? So that's kind of like where I'm getting at, where. And I'm telling you, the mindset is the hardest thing to deal with. It's the hardest thing to deal with. That's why this is so important. I'm glad you had that on there first, because that is the hardest thing to deal with, because we're surrounded by so many things that's dragging the mind left, right, front, backwards, everywhere, up, down. Your mind is being split. And there's so many things going on that you can't even keep a clear head. So when things happen, as people try to get you offended, you might not have a clear head when that takes place, and you start to react emotionally, and sometimes acting emotionally can be very, very hard. How many times you hear people say, man, I blacked out. I didn't even know. I didn't even know what I did.
Yeah.
That's what the emotions do. You're totally emotionally driven, pretty much taking all logic out.
Emotions are a very, very powerful thing.
Oh
and,
my God!
I mean, it is one of the key elements that make up our personalities, really. We've tackled 3 topics on this list here. We've got 2 more, but before we do, we're going to run a quick timeout here in just a moment. Before we do, though, I want to give a quick shout out, and I know you will too, to all the mothers out there who are tuning in here, who are celebrating Mother's Day this weekend, and even those who may not necessarily celebrate Mother's Day, but just know how much you are truly appreciated. Anything you want to say real quick before we go to break?
Yes, happy, lovely Mother's Day to all of the mothers. I mean, I know my mom did a good job on me, I believe.
Yeah.
And I just believe that Mother's Day is something that should be celebrated all year round because they work all year round.
For sure.
And my wife, I might work 40 hours a week, but man, she works a lot more than I do. And we have to appreciate them. So happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers, all the hardworking mothers, and especially those single mothers out there, you know, because there's a lot of men that are jerks. I'm gonna just say that. There's a lot of men that are jerks and don't want to be around, but guess what? We celebrate you on today.
Absolutely. And with that, we are going to run a quick timeout. More of the Clouse Q Show here live on ONTV is right after this.
Runners and walkers of all ages are invited to come out to the 2023 Dragon Dash 5K on Sunday, May 21st. Check-in opens at 7:30 a.m. with the race starting promptly at 9 a.m. The Dragon Dash begins and ends at the Orion Center with participants heading out on the scenic Pollyant Trail toward Civic Center Park and back again. All participants will receive a medal as they cross the finish line. For more information, call 248-391-0304, extension 3500, or visit orionparks.com. Orion Township invites you to visit the Orion Center on Saturday, June 3rd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. to shop for bargains at the Community Garage Sale. Why spend the day driving around when you can visit dozens of vendors in the parking lot offering a wide variety of items? While that's going on outside, the Antique, Toy, and Comic Expo will be taking place inside the Orion Center with vendors offering collectibles, toys, antiques, comic books, and more at great prices. From 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Shred It will be on the grounds to shred documents. There is so much going on at the Orion Center on June 3rd, and parking and admission is free. For more information, you can call 248-391-0304, extension 3500, or visit orionparks.com.
Welcome back to the Clouse Q Show live here on ONTV. Jason Clouse along with Quadell Edwards. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here tonight. We are talking about the things that people cannot take away from you and your urgency to work on these things. We spent the first half hour or so of the show. We tackled 3 very prominent subtopics, I guess, for the lack of a better term. We've got 2 more to go down, and like this next one here, Q, is a big one. And this is something that, I mean, every one of these things so far is a testament to who we are individually. Now, if you listen to the shows, the podcasts, you watch this show, you know I celebrate individuality. I firmly believe that every single human has their own special and particular traits or tools or strengths or weaknesses that they bring to the proverbial table. That's what makes you you. Now, when you start worrying about how you are perceived, when you start worrying about what people think or say or things of this nature about you, it starts to alter who and what you are fundamentally, if you allow it to. This next one here is, I mean, it's more or less 100% on you based on what you are willing to put out there personally and in a public realm. Your transparency. Your transparency is one thing that people really cannot take away from you. Instead, you kind of dictate that. You are the one that puts out there in one way or the other what you allow other people to see, to be exposed of, or to be exposed to. Because when we start talking about transparency, we start talking about the ability to tap into one of the key elements in our brain and in our fundamental makeup, and that is vulnerability. Vulnerability is going to be one of those things that can and oftentimes does bring people straight down to their damn knees, right?
Oh yeah, man.
This was the one you were kind of waiting for, wasn't it?
Man, I was waiting for all of them. But you're right. Yeah, you're definitely right. Transparency is definitely on you, and that's the key right there, because that is on you. You have a choice to be transparent, and that for me is big because a lot of people don't know how to be authentic, and a lot of people have a hard time being authentic. A lot of people feel like they'll be vulnerable in being authentic. It's so much to being,
because it's about the image, right?
Exactly, yeah. Because you wanna hold up an image, and just like I say, Facebook is nothing but a mask. It's nothing but a mask. I mean, you got people over here so concerned about the image or what they're trying to perceive through a screen, and not being real or not being authentic who they really are, because just it ties into so many things. Because you think maybe they're not gonna like my personality, maybe they're not gonna like my character, maybe they don't agree with my mindset. You have to be real. Not only, well, actually, first and foremost, you got to be real with you.
I've said that a million
times.
times.
You got to be real with. How many times have you looked in the mirror and say, "This is who I am," instead of "This is who I'm trying to be"? Stop playing a gimmick in life.
Let me play devil's advocate for a moment. I say that as you just came out. I'm a Christian, and here I am. I told you from day one, we are the yin to the yang. We are, sometimes.
That's why this works.
Yeah, it is. We complement each other.
Yep.
We, what I lack, he brings, and vice versa. Anyway, everybody knows how I feel about social media. Very love-hate relationship with social media. There's good, a lot of bad, right?
A lot of bad.
Transparency in terms of your presentation on social media. When you said the Facebook thing, like, I found myself like agreeing with you, but at the same time I was like, oh, I fall under this. Because there's this thing, right or wrong, Facebook official, right? Now, I am personally, I am very selective about what I put out on social media from my personal account. You go to any of our show accounts or something like that, you are getting a public presentation of me, just because I'm representing the PFC network, or we are working with ONTV, or whatever the case may be. I am representing something else. Could be I'm speaking on behalf of this show, which in turn I'm speaking on behalf of my friend Q. So I'm very particular, I'm very careful about how I go about that. Now, you come to my personal page, if you are on my list and you are able to see what I put out there, I take transparency very seriously with this. Not because I'm looking to boost my own ego or to try to get more friends, because like my friend Sean Urgel says, who appears with me on the Power Tripping Through the 80s podcast on the network, we're not here to collect Facebook friends like Pokemon cards. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need 2,000 people watching my stuff.
Right.
But the ones that are on there, like, you know, they're there because they have a vested interest in what's going on with me personally. So transparency comes into play where, you know, I want to use that platform to celebrate the things and, more importantly, the people that mean the most to me and that are making an impact or that are doing significant things that really, by and large, needs to be celebrated. So I take that part of the whole Facebook official thing and how I go about the whole transparency thing here. But then you go on the polar opposite side of that spectrum, right? And this is where social media becomes a detriment, really.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what people want. I mean, that's what people like to be the superhero. You know, that's how I compare it. You know, it's almost like in life you might be Clark Kent. On Facebook, oh, you're Superman. You know, you can be who you want to be on Facebook. So I mean, and now.
You're killing it today, man. I don't mind telling you.
You know, to me, it's okay to like encourage yourself and try to make yourself feel more, for the lack of better words, more important. But to actually play an image, try to uphold an image that has nothing to do with you, that means you're not being authentic on Facebook. So imagine if some of these people meet you now. Will they be meeting Facebook you, or will they be meeting you? So that's just a question I got out there. Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, all of these different things. Now they have, oh my God. Now they have the filters and stuff. So people are really playing roles.
Yeah.
They are really playing roles down. And you know, I know a couple people who are different people on Facebook, and they want to, you know, they might use different names or cool names, you know, and all that stuff. But if you're not authentic in life, then you're not going to get very far. How are you going to accomplish the goals that are set up, that you probably didn't even set the goals up, to be honest, if you're not authentic?
Right.
So, you're not going to get very far in life. You're not going to get very far in life. And imagine getting to a state of life, you might be going through a midlife crisis and you're still faking on Facebook and Instagram and all these websites and stuff. And you're going to find yourself in the same place you were 20, 30 years ago. And that's something that we actually covered earlier about being better now than we were. You know, you're pretty much forfeiting the growth part of your personality, your character, and the development of your mindset by playing somebody else. It's not just, I know I say a lot of stuff about Facebook and all this stuff, but it's not just that. You know, people are doing that in your face too. They're doing that in your face, trying to play different parts of life that has nothing to do with them. Just be who you are.
And that is kind of the perfect transition into this last article here on this list, kind of the main event, if you will. I'm going to let you take the lead on this because I know, and I realize we're down to like 15 minutes here left of the show, and I know once I start going, I may not allow him enough time because this last one resonates with me. And so I'll let you take the lead, your entire being.
Hey, oh man, here we go. The main event, everybody. The main event, standing in the corner from somewhere around the world, the entire being. I'm telling you, if you let people take away your entire being, this pretty much sums everything up right here. This is the bow. I mean, this is and just like he said, it's the main event. It's the main event. This is who you are. If you allow people to take that away from you, then you allowed them to do that. And this is where, when we always talk about surrounding yourself with the right people and having the whole circle thing, having the right circle. And I'm gonna tell you, who you hang around. You show me your circle, I can easily tell who you are. Easily. Just like I say, show me your pocketbook. Show me all the where you're writing all your checks to. Show me all your transactions, and I can tell you what you love. I can tell you what you love. But this is in relationship terms. I can tell you exactly who you are just by who you hang out with on a daily basis. And we always say you have to have that right circle. Man, and we hammered it home. I mean, you guys should be sick and tired of us saying that. And I believe if you have watched this show from day one and you still have that same circle, then you might not be taking the advice from us. Because one thing we always say, you got to have like-minded people. Now, you might have somebody that might not be quite on your level, but that's for you to help pull them up. And you might have somebody that's greater than you in your circle. You need to be tugging on them to pull you up. That's what the circle is meant to be. We need to be empowering each other. That's what me and Jason do. That's what I do with Stan Lee. That's what we all do. We encourage each other and we lift each other up and we say, you know what? You can accomplish those. I told Brian, I said, you can accomplish that goal. You're going to shatter it, man. Read all them books. You can do it. You can do it. I said that to him. I said, you can do that, man. You can double it. And that's what we ought to do. If you can't do that in your own circle, then something is wrong. Maybe it's something wrong with you or something wrong with your circle or both.
Yeah. Could be.
But I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to wrap it up here. And I'm just leave this last comment and then I'm going to pass it on to my partner here because I know I can see the smoke coming out of your ears right now. But just to sum it up, man, don't allow people to take your identity, because that's what this is. Your identity. Like, I don't want to see anybody walking around with my license because I am Quadell Edwards. That's who I was meant to be. No, don't allow nobody, no matter how good or bad they may seem, no matter if it's family or close loved ones, when they start to take your identity, then that's when you need to separate. Cut ties. Cut ties with people. Do not be afraid to cut ties with people, even if it's family. I'm quite sure I got family talking about me. I got close loved ones that probably talk about me. And it doesn't matter because it's all opinionated. I know who I am, but they cannot take who I am away. So that's my plea to everyone in the listening audience, to just allow yourself to be strong enough to withstand all the rocks that's going to be thrown at you. You know, they say sticks and stones may break my bones and words will never hurt me. Man, words will kill you. Because so many people are taking their own lives by bullying. Words. People are saying these things and you end up losing sight of who you are, and that's when depression sets in. That's when stress sets in because you don't know who you are anymore. They stripped you. Don't be naked out there in the streets. Enough said. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for this?
You touched on a number of points that I'm going to make. However, I'm going to word them a little bit differently. Because you're talking about you personally. Now, there's two ways to go about everything here. It is things that affect you personally and your course of action that's going to dictate where you go in life, who you're going to be, and why it's crucial that you work on these things here. The other aspect, the other point of view is from the outside looking in, and especially when you're talking about somebody that means something to you, if not everything. I know of an individual who is at this moment, at this point in their life, is undergoing tremendous change. They're rewiring their brain because of a lifetime's worth of drama and abuse. And because of all of that, it has fundamentally affected every damn aspect that we have talked about here tonight, including how it all wraps up to your entire being. It breaks my heart to see good people, really good people, people that are good to their core, that have withstood so much crap that it has changed them. It has changed every aspect of them and has altered who they are fundamentally. However, here's the one thing that I have learned. Somewhere deep in the recesses of their mind, body, and soul, the good is still there. And they just have to be reminded that it's still there. Because sometimes, Q, we need that proverbial kick in the ass for us to put things in perspective, to let us know that this particular course of action, because even though it's not something that is necessarily firing on all of our cylinders, this does not have to be how your story ends. It doesn't. Your entire being is ultimately a culmination of every single solitary aspect of what makes you you. There's only one of you. And if, like you were saying, the circle or the family or any of those situations, those people that have regular contact with you, that have regular influence on you, to you, for you, if they are not there for your fundamental best interest, like you were just saying, it's time to cut those ties. I know somebody that's doing that. And there's some of the strongest ties that they've had to. We're talking about,
they're real thick,
family, especially when you talk about family. But you know, the word family, especially in this day and age, is subjective. You know, there is your literal sense, you know, based on definition, and then there's real life. And sometimes the two are not on the same page. Because the ones who truly have your best interest at the forefront, that actually care for you, love you for who you are, not for what you are, that's your family. The ones who may share the same DNA, may have the same blood running through their veins, but are there to condemn you, or to make you feel less than, or to instill all kinds of neglect and abuse and all this other stuff, that ain't family. Unfortunately. Some people find that out the hard way. And there's one of two things. You either just deal with it and allow that to be a determining factor into who you are, what you are, and how you're going to go about your life. Or you could take your life back, and if that means severing ties, well, I've got a big-ass pair of scissors for you to use. because I fully believe that everybody fundamentally has a right to be happy. I believe that everybody fundamentally has a right to live the life that they want, to be with the ones that they want, to love the ones that they want. And you know when you are progressing in life, you know when you are making positive changes, because that's where you meet the most resistance. And those are the people that are trying to alter your mindset, your character, in some degree, your transparency, and your personality. You add all that up, it starts to affect your entire being. You are no longer who you are. You become a shell of who you are. I know wholeheartedly that allowing other people's visions and ideas and their direction will turn an individual into a shell of themselves.
Toxic.
Toxic ain't the right word. We'll use it because we're on live television. But it goes deeper than that. Here's the thing. Every one of us has good in us. Every one of us has the capability to live life the way that we want to, because you've heard me say it a million times. We've got one shot at this thing we call life. We're on borrowed time here. And if you truly want to live a happy life, or as happy as you can possibly get it, you have to maintain your self-being. You have to maintain your mindset, your focus, your determination. And man, I understand it gets to be a challenge. It gets to be hard from time to time. But that's when you know, that's proof that you are doing something good, because it's causing resistance from the opposite party. So the more resistance you get, just know it's because you're making more waves and you're moving in the right direction. You truly are. And for the one in particular that this was geared towards, just know your best days are right there. They're right there. And the good news is I get a front row seat for it.
Those are the best seats.
Those are the best seats. And that does not fall on me, that what a privilege that is. So with that, we're going to put a bow on this week's show. We certainly appreciate everybody tuning in here tonight. Any questions, comments, feedback, show topic ideas, anything you want us to talk about, head over to the Clouse Q Show over on Facebook, or clousetotheheart.net, which is the official website of our entire network. For Quadell Edwards, I'm Jason Clouse. Be awesome to yourselves and to each other. We will be back here in just a few weeks' time for the next installment of the Clouse Q Show here on Orion Neighborhood Television.